So recently, a lot of my videos have been centered around WWDC, the Apple event that happened June. And I know it's like mid-July at this point, but I still shot a lot of videos while I was there, and then I also went to E3, so I'm still catching up on content. I'm very excited though to share with you this collab I did with Todd, also known as the Quadfather. He doesn't really have a YouTube channel, but he is an IT consultant who happened to have his story shared by Apple in a commercial actually called the Quadfather. Todd also spoke at WWDC in front of a large crowd, and he did an incredible job. If you guys want to see that, I will post the link down below. Todd and I were curious how we use our devices, so we sat down. Well, one of us sat down. I stood. Anyway, I wanted to see how. I can't see. I'm blind. I wanted to see from Todd, the Quadfather, how he uses his iPhone, and he was curious to see what it was like to view the world through my eyes, so I actually brought a pair of low vision simulating goggles that emulate my vision acuity. It doesn't simulate the nystagmus where my eyes are constantly moving everything and causing a vertigo effect, but it does cause overexposure of light, and it blurs it similar to my vision, where things are a little bit more visible up close, very close up, but once they're like away, everything goes blurry. So this was a cool opportunity to show Todd VoiceOver and Zoom, two features I oftentimes use, and VoiceOver is particularly used by the blind and those who have more severe visual impairments, so even I use it sometimes, but oftentimes I can find myself using Zoom just fine, typically throughout the day or when I'm editing a video. And so Zoom allows me to magnify into my device, very, very far into my device. So the Zoom controller here, have you interacted with this ever?
No.
Okay. So this is a feature that allows me to zoom into things. Just for instance, I can use force touch to just push and peek zoom real quick.
Oh.
And then move my finger around. So that I can see the TV app, iBooks, App Store.
Yep.
And then I can also double tap it and then move it around like a joystick and keep it in that zoom without having to hold down. So then I can still interact with everything even when it's zoomed in. So if I want to read mail, see my inbox, we don't need to read my email though.
I can't read it, don't worry about it.
So obviously things need to be up close for me to see.
Will it read it to you?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
sorry.
2 fingers down.
Copyright sign.
We'll bring up speak screen. I can also fast this up a little bit.
For information about permission
skip to the next part.
author would like to thank the DAAD and
Is that because you know it's like the third element, or because you're
I'm familiar. I can't really
memorize it
exactly.
Okay.
And
then you can move this off if you want to follow along with it. You can also highlight the text, so that people who may have cognitive disabilities or just visual impairments can follow along.
How do you take a picture?
Yeah, so it's nice as the camera app.
Let's do a selfie.
Okay. Oftentimes I use the zoom just to make sure everything's okay.
There's your eyeball.
Yep. And then I know where the shutter is, so that's cool. So we'll take a selfie. Smile. VoiceOver, on the other hand, allows you to use your phone without even looking. Once you know how to use VoiceOver and you know the gestures, it navigates your phone with voice. Basically, what it does is narrate everything that you're doing. As you're scrolling through your screen or as you're flicking to the next item, it's basically scanning, like with a cursor, every item that's on your device, and allows people who are blind or visually impaired to use their iPhone like everyone else would.
Photo and video button. Camera button. Photo, portrait, 10.
You can even take video with VoiceOver and edit video with iMovie, even if you're blind. Nothing's stopping you.
Reminders.
So I tend to just, because I can still see the color of what's on the screen, but oftentimes I will also just close my eyes. But I'll just scan my finger around. If I'm not aware of my surroundings or the space around on the screen, I can swipe left or right to get to the very next item.
iTunes,
So
news,
news.
reminders, news.
Double tap to open it from anywhere on the screen.
Zoom controls. The news and privacy. App protecting the private about
This
done.
is impressive.
More dislike 1. Unread.
I get it.
CNN.
Yeah.
Send news.
Damn, James.
Todd was very fortunate to have his vision back once he took off the goggles.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm glad I have my eyes back.
There you go. Damn. He was very much appreciative of his eyes more than ever. Next, Todd showed me what it was like for him to use an iPhone. He uses a thing called switch control, which is built-in software into the iPhone that allows him, similar to VoiceOver, but scan the items on screen and activate things either by custom gestures or using head movements, or even by a third-party device like a switch that allows you to interact with a different kind of button or anything attached to a wheelchair. So Todd uses his tongue to navigate his phone and to interact with items on screen.
Then there's a button right next to it, which is for the wheelchair. That's to tilt me back and forth.
Okay.
Then next is a red light. Sure if you can see that or not. It's in the ball itself. It's right here.
I can make that out.
Okay, that button is a mode selection for the wheelchair.
Okay.
Then I have the joystick, up, down, left, right to drive the chair. On this side of the gimbal ball, there's another red light, just like this one was, or is rather. And that button is also assigned a switch action in switch control called Move Next. And then there's two more buttons that look just like these two over here. And they're also switches in switch control for select and move previous. So by using these buttons that are plugged into a Bluetooth interface called Tekla, and Tekla is paired to the phone, that's how I do and navigate the phone direct access. That allows me to drive the wheelchair and, let's say, answer the phone, or hang up the phone, or put it on mute, or bring up a keypad, or whatever. If I want, I can also then use the joystick, because the wheelchair manufacturer has made their own Bluetooth interface, and I can use the joystick to drive the phone too. Select, move next, move previous, just like what you're doing with your finger earlier in that sort of joystick type mode. So those are two ways that I use it. It's all subject to the wheelchair manufacturer. So that's sort of the hardware setup. And then just on the phone itself, if you want to look at the screen, you can sort of see this blue, maybe square, moving.
Is that the switch control cursor?
Yep.
Or scanner, I guess?
Yeah, the cursor. I'd call it the cursor.
Okay. Much like VoiceOvers.
Exactly. I think it's like some of the same framework. I only use switch control for typing if I'm on the phone and it's like a fairly quick, like, I'll demonstrate.
Do you use predictive typing as well?
Yes, absolutely. But let's say if I was on the phone, I'd bring up the keypad and then I would just type it this way. Which is, not very fast. So.
Okay.
But again, it's, 99% of the time you're using Siri.
Yeah.
Thanks for demoing that, though.
Absolutely.
I've always been curious about that.
Yeah, no, you got to see that stuff.
It's slow, too, with VoiceOver. That's why most people end up either using a keyboard or a braille display or some sort of dictation form. Or Siri.
I'm sure there's a learning curve, but I didn't actually get to try it for myself. I didn't really want to put my tongue on his device, and I didn't want him to have to get out of his chair, and we didn't have an extra chair to try it myself or anything like that. So, he got to see what it's like to see through my eyes, but, I didn't really get his perspective of things. I'm just going to take his word for it.
I write software, and I just really want to demonstrate that. I picked my thing. Sure. And that was when I was young, and I wanted to show the world that you can have a job, you can be gainfully employed. And, it's been one struggle after another, trying to make enough money to pay the medical bills. Mm-hmm. I'm not a settlement winner of being injured that, paid for everything. I'm not on Medicare and Medicaid because I have a job. So, I'm an island, man. I'm on my own. So I'm trying to demonstrate that maybe not in my lifetime, but maybe 20 years from now, 30 years from now, it might be easier for individuals with disabilities to be gainfully employed and to be able to make money and to be able to put groceries on the table and not get constantly harassed, or worked because they have a job or don't have a job.
But I give Todd a lot of credit. The dude runs his own business. He has built this automated smart home and raises a family and has dogs, and the iPhone enables him to do a lot with his life, and it's so cool. If you want to see more about Todd's story, how he uses Siri to create this automated home, check out the commercial by Apple that they did sharing his story. And I'll also put down a news outlet that covered his story in a video format, so be sure to check that out as well. I hope this video gave you a little bit more perspective about how other people with disabilities use their devices. Whether you're an able-bodied person or a fellow blind person, maybe you learn about how a quadriplegic would use an iPhone, or how someone like me who's blind, if you're not blind, would use my phone. It's awesome. The iPhone enables people to do all kinds of stuff, and all that software is built in for free into the device. Leave a comment down below if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe if you want to see more videos about what it's like to live with blindness, and whether that means technology or athletics and stuff or anything along those lines. You can hit the subscribe button. I trust you. You'll probably do it, right? Probably not. That's okay. I still care for you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Whatever time it is, have a great day, night, whatever it is in the world. I will see you guys next time. Bye.